Hello everybody and welcome back to another video by Funland Tutorials. In today's video we are going to be continuing from what we discussed in last week, which is what can we buy using the notion of indifference curve. And in today's video we are going to be talking about what do we buy at the end of the day using the concept of budget. So using a similar idea and methodology, we're going to be looking at a graph because graph makes everything easy, right? So let me draw the two axes. The basic idea remains the same. So on the x axis, we have the x goods. Basically on the horizontal axis, we have x goods. For everybody who loves chocolates, we can think of chocolates in this axis. And on the y-axis or the vertical axis, we have y goods, if I can write that down properly. And for everybody who likes candies, we can think of candies. Right, so we have two commodities, and and of course when you're drawing diagrams, make sure that you draw the origin. So in case of indifference curve, I started by explaining drawing a curve first and then explaining exactly what it means. So let's do the same thing. I'm going to be drawing something which is, guess what it's called? It's called the budget line. So let me draw. So very simply, it's a budget line, so it has to be a straight line, though my one doesn't look like that, but it has to be a straight line, right? Just bear with me here. So this this red line is called the budget line. Now, what is this budget line all about? It's a very pertinent question to what we are discussing right now. So let's just find out. Now, if you think of it this way, the graph here has y goods on the vertical axis, x goods on the horizontal axis. This graph also has y goods on the vertical axis and x goods on the horizontal axis. So basically, the points on the graph essentially mean the same thing. So if I think of a point P and we plot them on the two axes, so if you have YP and XP over here, basically it means the consumer is, if the consumer is operating on point P, then consumer is buying YP amounts of good Y and XP amounts of good X. Similarly, if we have another point, say Q, and if we plot YQ and XQ, then basically the consumer is buying YQ amounts of commodity Y and XQ amounts of commodity X, right? So the basic idea remains the same. The only difference was these 2 points were on an indifference curve. So if the if the person was to move from point A to point B or point B to point A, their utility would remain the same, right? Utility would remain the same. Here, it's budget. So something else is to be factored in. What is to be factored in? Budget. What do you think of budget means? Budget essentially means when your parents, or when you particularly, when you're thinking of budget, basically you're thinking of how to allocate your costs, right? So the first thing that comes to your mind when you're thinking of budget are costs, right? Here we have two commodities, right? So if we have two commodities, there should be two prices for the two commodities. Let's say price of commodity X is PX, basically the price of chocolates, and price of commodity Y is PY, which is basically the price of candies. Now, quickly, if you buy X units of, okay, let's think of point P, right? So when you're at point P, basically I'm talking about this point, right? Point P. So if you're talking about point P, you bought XP units of chocolates and YP units of candies, right? So you bought XP units of chocolates and YP units of candies, right? There are two ways of looking at it. One is you spend as much as you want and then you think of the expenditure, or you have a particular budget. So let me think of the budget way of thinking. So every month you get a salary or a monthly allowance, so basically your income. So we call that M, or we can think of it at M bar. I'm going to be saying why M bar. Basically, M is money, the total amount of money that you have. Now you have to spend this total amount of money. Ideally, you don't want to save for the current context that we are discussing. So there are savings notions, but right now we are thinking of not saving. So whatever money we have, we are going to be using them on chocolates and candies. Again, we can save, but here for the simplification of explanation, we are thinking of not saving. So if we are to buy XP units, then we have to pay PX for every unit. PX is the cost of 1 unit of X. So XP units will cost XP into PX, right? So every say every chocolate costs 5 rupees and we bought 10 chocolates, so they should cost a total of 50. Simple unitary method explanation, right? So you have that. So you have XP and PX, which gives you the total cost of buying the XP units of chocolates. Similarly, you have PY, which is the price of commodity Y, and you buy YP of them. So for each candy, the price is YP. So for YP candies, the price is YP into PY. This is the cost of candies. So you have the cost of chocolates and you have the cost of candies. If you add them, you have the total amount of money that you spend both on chocolates and candies, right? These two should add up to M bar, because I said there would not be any savings. So you're spending your entire money on both chocolates and candies. So the expenditure on chocolates and expenditure on candies should add up to your income, right? Now, if you want, think of it this way: the price of chocolates is 1 and the price of candies is say 2, right? So let me write that down. The price of chocolates is this and the price of candy is 2. And suppose you have income of say okay, let's do a back calculation quickly. A back calculation. Let me give me 5 seconds and I'm going to do a calculation here. Okay, so I'm back. So I did a quick calculation and I suppose your money income is 7. So 7, you can get 70 rupees or 70,000 rupees. It doesn't matter. Let's just for simplification think of it as 7 units of money. It could be 7 rupees, $7, £7, €7. 7 units of money basically. And suppose the price of commodity X, so here chocolates is 1, and the price of commodity Y or candies is 2. Now with the money, 7 units of money that you have, you can buy either, if I want to zoom it a little further, I hope you can see this. You can buy 5 units of, if you buy 5 units, say you buy 5 units, let me change the color here once. Say you buy 5 units of commodity X. So 5 times 1 is 5. This is the quantity and this is the price. So quantity into price is the expenditure 5. And you buy 1 unit of Y. So you have two two is the price of commodity Y is 2 and you buy one of them, so the expenditure is 2. So basically you spend 5 units on X and 2 units on Y and you add them to get 7, right? So you fill your entire budget. Another way could be you buy 3 units of commodity X. So 3 units of commodity X into the price of commodity X. 3 times 1 is 3. And you buy 2 units of commodity Y. 2 units of commodity Y into the price, which is 2, and you get 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 plus 4 is also 7, right? So what I mean to say is you can buy different commodity bundles using the same amount of money. This is very obvious, right? There are multiple ways of buying different types of things, but you end up spending the same amount. This idea is basically the budget. So you can buy this amount, say YP and XP. Say this was actually, so you have what are the two bundles that I chose? 5, 1, 3, 2. So suppose this is 5, 1, this is 3, 2. Note that when you're increasing, so initially you bought more X. So as you move from this point to this point, the amount of X decreased, but the amount of Y increased. So the savings that you did by not buying X, you actually spend it to Y. That is the idea of budgeting, right? You decrease one and you increase one, or you increase one and you decrease one. The same idea also holds here. Because you increase the amount of commodities X produced, purchased, you basically increase your consumption and you increase your expenditure. So you had to cut down on your Y. So you move from P to Q. And what did you do in the process of doing it? You kept your money income same, M bar. This is where the idea M bar comes from. Here, your utility was same. In difference curve, utility was same. So U was barred. Basically, bar means constant. So your U was bar. Here, M is bar, which means the money is constant. So the consumption, the expenditure at point P and the expenditure at point Q is the same. And this is basically the idea of budget line. Every point on this curve, every point on this line, basically the expenditure is the same. So that is basically the idea of budget line. Now the question remains, what do we buy or how do we choose? So for that we have to basically combine these two graphs, and in the next video I'm going to be talking about how to do that.